Hey, hockey fans! This is Brad Meskler of Undrafted Hockey Fan. Today we're doing a tier list. I love doing the tier list. So this is one that I built. It's similar to what some people have, but the one difference is I have the WTF section. So again, we have the cup favorites, playoff contenders, wildcard contenders, and then you have like the mushy middle, which is like the WTF or like what's happening with this team, and then the rebuildings, of course, ones that are just kind of waiting for the rebuild. I don't like to do any more comment. I mean, you could do like, oh, here's a first round exit team, and here's a second. Like people get so particular, but like you have the ones that you know are going to be in the playoffs. Like they're going to be in the playoffs. Like Toronto, you know is going to be a playoff, but are they a cup favorite? You know what I mean? So there's like something like that. And then wild card contender is something that isn't either in the wild card spot or like is fighting for a wild card spot or like but doesn't mean even if they should be fighting for a wild spot. We'll talk about this a couple teams later, and they just might not be. So let's just jump right into it. Let's get this over with, and not get this over with. Let's just jump right into it. So Anaheim Ducks. I mean, I think we have a pretty good idea about the Anaheim Ducks are. They have 19 points in 19 games. Of course, they're actually not even that bad in comparison. They're in their division. They're actually tied with Utah and the Blues, and they're doing better than Nashville and San Jose Sharks and the Blackhawks, which is honestly wild. But we all know the direction that they're going. They didn't add anyone in the off season, so they are in the rebuilding category. I mean, that's just happening. They're in a rebuild. It's kind of going a lot slower than I think they anticipated. Some of these guys aren't as big of hits as they thought they would be. Trevor Zegras is starting up slow, but again, that's okay. I mean, like I said, it's part of the plan. And rebuilds take 8 to 10 years. They take okay, and Anaheim's been in it for like 5 years, I think, because they drafted Trevor Zegras in 2019. That was kind of the start of the rebuild. So 5 years. So there's plenty of time to come out of it. It just takes time to build a full-blown playoff contender. So, or a team that's going to be a Stanley Cup contender, let's say. Boston Bruins, kind of in the it'd be arguable that they were in the they're probably a playoff contender. They're not. I mean, or maybe in the wild card because they're acting kind of funny right now. I'm kind of in the WTF. To me, if you missed my podcast that I did with the Bruins tape to tape with Caroline and Maria, we talked about this as the Boston Bruins are. It's really not the coach's fault. They just fired Jim Montgomery. They promoted Joe Sacco as their head coach, who was supposedly was a guy that was looking to get a head coaching position anyways. But he was looking to get that spot, and supposedly management told him it was good. But the Bruins, it's the team wasn't built well enough to play well. I mean, to me, the coach isn't the issue. Montgomery just got signed with the St. Louis Blues, which we'll talk about later. So to me, it's you're literally bringing in a guy who was already in the locker room, and now he's the head of the locker room, and they do have 2 wins underneath this coach, but they did win in overtime against the Red Wings. So like, it could have gone either way at that point. So I'm just I'm skeptical of the move. I think it's Sweeney and McNeely or Sweeney and Neely's last kind of hurrah. I think they may be out honestly after this year if the Bruins don't do something big and go far. So Buffalo, going to Buffalo, talking about them. They're still in that. Let's go to the Atlantic Division. Buffalo is, I don't even see them right here. Buffalo, where are you at? Oh my God, they're in the playoff spot. I was, it's funny. I was looking in the wild card spots, and they're actually 23 points in 21 games. So they're ahead of the Boston. They're tied with the Boston Bruins with a game in hand. So Buffalo's doing really well. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They have a +4 goal differential. I mean, they're doing okay. I mean, they are where the way they should be, which has happened in the last couple of years. They should have been playoff contenders or wild card contenders. They are a wild card contender right now. They're in third in the Atlantic right now. But again, this team is started to heat up. But at this part, I just see them as a wild card contender. They're not fully there yet. And I'm kind of they can go either way. They can continue to stay hot. I don't know if they moved out of third because you have Toronto and the Panthers, but to me, I don't know if I see them moving past those 2 teams because those teams are just too red hot. So we'll see. But Buffalo is a playoff or a wild card contender. Calgary Flames, holy smokes, they're in the what the fuck? Because you were supposed to be bad. What happened? You were supposed to be bad. And now you're doing phenomenal. The Flames are on fire, second in the Pacific with 27 points in 21 games, only 1 point behind the Vegas Golden Knights. Again, another hot team right now. I had them as a rebuilding team, like a retooling team. And supposedly they're looking for a center, like a young, like a 25, 26-year-old center to grow with the team. I mean, cool. That's exciting. Again, I thought they were going to be retooling. Again, they sold off a ton of assets last year. They sold off Zadorov. They sold off Lindholm, Tanev, a couple, I mean, several guys. Noah Hannafin. I almost said Noah Dobson. Noah Hannafin. Got all these first round picks back, and now you have Dustin Wolf's looking hot, and the team's just looking pretty good. Which again, I'm surprised with. They're 6-2-2 right now in their last 10. Only one goal, plus one goal differential. So that's something that you want to see. Dustin Wolf has been playing well, but you got to get the scoring up higher. And again, but this is whatever they're doing is working. 12 wins, 6 losses, and 3 overtime losses. And so by the way, what the fuck is kind of like it's a mixed bag, right? So at this point, to me, Calgary Flames are playoff contenders, but I'm confused on what the direction is. Again, and Boston's kind of the same way. They're probably playoff contenders. But what the fuck's happening with them? So I kind of like the what the fuck because it helps. Just like because I have a hard time with teams that don't have a direction, right? Like Chicago Blackhawks are rebuilding. We'll throw them in Chicago Blackhawks. Boom, they're rebuilding. You have a direction, right? I just did that because I saw them. They have a direction, and that's what you want to be doing, right? There's teams that have direction, and I have a hard time with teams that don't have direction. I think Boston's trying to be good, but then they made some odd moves. Like I didn't like Lindholm as a second line center, the first line center actually. Even I don't like him I didn't think he was worth. I think he was probably worth that money, but I don't think that was Boston's solution. Even though he was best center on there, they should have traded for someone, or traded for someone young that can kind of be brought up within the team. And like Zadorov, I think he's a third pair D in my opinion. He's rough and he's tough, and you overpay way too much for him. Calgary again, Calgary's doing some smart things, bringing in guys on 1-year contracts. Like they traded off Mangiapane, but they brought in like Anthony Mantha for a year and just hey, let's try this, see if it works. Right? Of course, he got hurt, but again, they're still looking great. Calgary Flames are looking hot. And then going back to the Chicago Blackhawks. Rebuilding, of course, you just got Connor Bedard, a little over a year ago. They have Leshunov, second overall this past 2024 draft. They're still looking to acquire some draft picks. They don't want to be terrible, so they signed a bunch of guys this past season, like Tyler Bertuzzi. They have Taylor Hall, but he's being scratched. So what's happening? You have Nick Foligno as well. You resign it, he becomes a captain until he's ready to pass it off to Connor Bedard. So you're just seeing some of these. They're seeing some good moves, but they're trying to swing their way out. But you can't do it too quickly because you still want a good draft pick. But you don't want to demoralize the guys you already have on the team. So, for me, going to the Carolina Hurricanes, I always had the Carolina Hurricanes as like a playoff or cup favorite because they are just so good. And right now they're doing so well as well. Currently in the Metropolitan, they are second with 29 points in 20 games, which honestly they should be first because New Jersey has 3 more games played and they have 1 more point than the Carolina Hurricanes. So Carolina will be knocking them off soon, but we'll see. To me, the Carolina Hurricanes, I think they're so, to me, the Carolina Hurricanes always remind me of the St. Louis Blues in 2019. Yeah, because 18 was Washington Capitals 2019, because there's waves of guys. They have 4 phenomenal lines. They have great defensemen. Now, the one confusion that I have, and that may not come off from the playoff contenders next quarter. So we're at the 20. By the way, we're at the 20 game mark. So that's why we're doing this video. Is Pyotr Kochetkov just got blacked out? He got hit by, I think it was Sean Walker in the head when they were trying to make a play. Kochetkov was out of his net, got his head hit, and then he blacked out behind the net. So we'll see. Hopefully he's okay. And hopefully everything's all right. No concussion or anything. So we'll hope for the best and good luck to you, Peter. By the way, if you haven't been along with this ride yet, we are on day 11. I believe it is day 11. So pretty sure it's day 11. We're posting a podcast once a day for the rest of the year. So December 31st, we're posting on Thanksgiving. We're posting on Christmas and Christmas Eve. Like, so there's content going to be coming out. I don't know what I'm talking about, but we're going to figure it out. But it's going to be fun. We're just going to go full blast and start putting out a ton of stuff. And so you guys can let me know, put your favorite comment down there, put your favorite emoji down there in the comment box, hit like, subscribe. I really appreciate it. It really helps small creators like myself to help just thrive and everything. So anyways, we're going to jump right into this. We got the Colorado Avalanche. So Colorado Avalanche has been crazy hurt right now. But they're still sticking around. 24 points in 21 games. They are a playoff contender right now. This is going to change probably, because what might happen later is I just don't know if they can. I don't know if they can claw their way back up to that cup favorite because you have so many like the injuries take so much of a toll. Like, guys are out for so long. Like, are you getting Atlantic back? Like, Nutrition just got back. I think he played 5 games at like 1 point. So so many guys are injured, and it's hard to get back. Like, I mean, we talked about this with John Tavares. He had the flu. He loses 8 pounds in the middle of the season this year, and so it does take time to get back to speed. And he looks good now, but not all guys can get up to speed fast enough to be able to perform well. And so we'll see with the Colorado Avalanche and everything, see how they perform. But they still are playoff contenders, in my opinion. When you have Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, I mean, it's hard to prove them otherwise, right? Columbus Blue Jackets. Columbus Blue Jackets are a bit fun right now. They're having a good time. I think they're playing a little bit above their pay grade right now. 4-5-1 in their last 10, -2 goal differential. So there's still room there. The problem is that the Metro just has so many like hard hitters. You have like the Islanders are playing well, Rangers are playing well. Like, it's gonna be hard to sneak. Like, they're behind. They're sixth in the Metro. And only the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Flyers behind them. But again, I mean, Columbus, they're rebuilding. I mean, they're making some weird rebuild moves when you consider that, because I'm like, okay, you're like, what are you doing? Like, why are you sending David Juracek down? To me, it doesn't make sense. Like, so I'm confused. I'm like, what's the plan? So anyways, let's move on to the next one. Oh, so they're in the rebuild. I mean, I know what they're doing. There's some directional issues, so they're not going to be put in the what the fuck. They are rebuilding. They brought in some good guys like Sean Monahan, who's doing phenomenal. By the way, he's one of 3 players that has played in the first 20 games, had 20 points. I forget the other guy's name, but one of the other guys is, of course, Johnny Gaudreau, man, one of his buddies that he was excited to play with. Again, because they played together in Calgary. So anyways, moving on back on. So we have the Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars have a little bit of a slow start. To me, I had them as like conference finals kind of team. Currently 26 points in 19 games, but in that stack central, you have Minnesota on a freaking heater above them, and so same with the Winnipeg Jets. So at this point, really, Dallas Stars, I mean, they're a playoff contender right now. They're not a cup favorite because it's like, what's happening? Like, you just have such hard hitters in that Central Division. I can't help you. You got to help yourself. Jason Robertson off to a slow start. Ottinger's look good, but like, I'm just not super impressed. In their last 10, they're 6-4, but they do have a 22 goal, 20 plus 22 in goal differential. So that is something that's like really remarkable. And at home, they're 8-2. That's amazing. 8-2-0. So we'll see. I mean, I think they're playing well. They're playing well, but it's like you have some teams that are just doing so well. I mean, you have Winnipeg Jets have 4 more wins in only 2 extra games. So we'll see. I mean, and mind you, Dallas starts to play one of the least amount of games. They've only played 19 games. Some teams have played 22 in this Western Conference. I mean, even in the Eastern, you have the Devils who played 23 games. So something to consider that they are a little bit behind, but they still can come out as cup favorites. Moving on, we are going to the next team, the Detroit Red Wings. This is one I follow the most. So I'm highly critical of the Detroit Red Wings because there are certain moves that I like, certain moves I don't like. A lot of confusion and like a lot of frustration, I'll tell you, because to me, this team's supposed to be a wild card contender. And I'm not seeing it as I don't think they're a wild card contender. I mean, I think there's a chance they can be if they get hot. They're so inconsistent and it's so frustrating. So I'm torn between, and by the way, this is a team that I still believe is rebuilding, but they're at that end phase of rebuilding. So it's not like a Ducks or a Chicago or a Columbus where they're bad, right? But to me, I'm kind of, and this may be biased, I'm kind of in the what the fuck, because what's happening is you have a team that's looking so dejected. They're not playing with the heart they normally do. They're losing 5 in a row. They're losing 5 in a row. And it's like, okay, And it keeps the indication is that because Derek Lalonde, their head coach, is on their last year of the contract, it's kind of like he's teetering, and that everyone was saying, hey, Jim Montgomery just got fired, they should take him, they should pick him up, and they didn't jump fast enough, and now the Blues got him, right? And maybe there wasn't a chance that he was going to, because Montgomery's wife is from St. Louis, so there was like, hey, there's kind of a match made in heaven type thing. So I'm a little biased in that sense, but I don't know who you'd replace him with. That's my issue too. Is like, I don't know who's out there that would make sense. Like Gallant is supposedly had an issue with young guys and everything. So I'm like, I don't want Quenneville either. So I'm kind of in that what the fuck wildcard contender. So we'll see. I mean, I'm really curious. I'm curious what moves they make. And some acquisitions like the Gustafson sign is not really working out. Kane's slow. Tarasenko is really not working out the same as much as you expect either. But Raymond looks great. Larkin's on pace for 50 goals, so that is something to consider. There are some bright spots in the team, but it's still, what the fuck are you guys doing? So moving on. I just want to do we'll do a quick ad break real quick, and then we'll jump right into it, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Do you know the most exciting thing about Black Friday and Cyber Monday is getting an amazing deal. Except for with Raycon, because Raycon can get you an amazing deal on premium audio every day of the year. That doesn't mean they're just having any sales for Black Fridays. No, sir, and or ma'am, and or they. Far from it. They're actually doubling down on their amazing value by offering viewers up to 30% site-wide. So it's a Black Friday deal that you'll appreciate every day is Raycon's everyday earbuds. And if you haven't checked out the latest model, they're a must-have for audio lovers. They have a 32-hour battery life and a multi-connectivity that lets you pair two devices together. And if you're on an airplane, maybe you're there with your spouse or your significant other, you can watch the same movie together and you can listen together. And speaking of airplanes, what's very helpful on airplanes is some noise cancellation, the active noise cancellation that the Raycon's everyday earbuds have. And that, honestly, the great thing about it is they come at an accessible price point, unlike other competitors' headphones. And one other thing is that Raycons are start at just half the price of everyone else. So not only are you getting an incredible deal, but before you even factor in the Black Friday deal, which is up to 30% off site-wide. And if you're looking for a great headphone, what more can you ask for in a headphone? Again, I travel a ton. I use it for work. The noise cancellation is amazing. And if you don't, I highly suggest you go grab some. Again, they're everyday earbuds. Again, you're going to appreciate them every day. And also, they have a 30-day happiness guarantee. So honestly, you really can't lose. It's time to save big for Black Friday. Go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get up to 30% off site-wide. That's right. You'll get the 30% off everything on a Raycon site when you go to buyraycon.com/THPN. And we are back. And so we have the NHL. We're going back to the NHL tier list again. If you're joining us, the 11th day in a row podcasting an episode a day. So make sure you hit the like, subscribe, everything. We really appreciate it and everything. So jumping into the Edmonton Oilers. It's funny. I have the Oilers. I have a rematch. I think it's Oilers, Florida again. I think they're just so good. That's how I had the start of the year. Once you make it, you got to stick to it. So again, I thought the Oilers looked phenomenal. And so I'm kind of looking at them and I'm like, okay, like, you got some things happening, right? But it's you're currently 24 points in 22 games. You're tied with the Colorado Avalanche. They have a game in hand. In their last 10, they're 5-4-1. So it is a winning streak. You're winning more than you're losing, but not by much. And I think one of the things, the issues they have is goaltending. Darnell Nurse got hit and everything. So I'm gonna say right now at this time, playoff contenders. And they're in a wild card spot right now. I think they're a little bit better than that. But in the Pacific, I think the Oilers are better than the Kings. And I think the Flames will fall down. I'm guessing. I don't think they're going to try and go for it, but if they're able to, good for them. So yeah, that's where I got him right now. But again, you can never doubt McDavid. He's just so good and everything. So going into Florida again, I got them going to the Cup. So I got them as a Cup favorite. I can definitely see a Carolina Florida rematch coming up again. I think that was the 22 season or 22 or 23 season. I could see that absolutely happening. So we'll see how that ends up going. But I'm I'm curious. They're just a powerhouse. I mean, right now they're currently second in the. Oh wow, they're second. Even Toronto's beating them. They're second in the Atlantic Division. 25 points in 21 games. Mind you, crazy enough, they're like 20. They're like sixth in the conference, which is crazy. But again, we saw this with Tampa. Tampa was like, "Oh, we're gonna get third in the Atlantic," and then they ran power through all everyone else and won in like 2021. They know that, like, hey, don't go full blown, don't hurt yourself during the regular season, so that you're good for the playoffs and everything. So, LA Kings, I had doubts in the LA Kings. I thought, I was like, okay, well, like, I think some guys are too old, some guys are just not experienced enough, and they're just not hitting well enough. But they're doing well right now. They're currently third in the Pacific, 25 points in 21 games, holding their own. I think actually, I'm curious, how well is Darcy Kemper doing right now? Because I think that's a one of the key indicators of whether they're going to be able to last really well. Because I mean, they got some good powerhouse guys. They got Kempe's playing well. Alex Lafreniere, Brant Clark, right? Anze Kopitar, of course, 23 points, 21 games. The guy does not age, dude. But right now you have, David Rittich is playing the most games. Then you have Darcy Kemper. That's crazy to me. Goaltending's been fine, 0.091 and 0.093 for Rittich and Kemper, respectively. They're doing average goaltending, and that's kind of all you can ask for. And think about this: with average goaltending, they are third in the Pacific. Imagine if the goaltending starts to pick up, or the plays to pick up a little bit. Currently, it says 4-4-1 in their last 10, so it's a misstep right there. But they're currently 500 and they're doing okay right now, so you can't complain about that. I'm gonna go playoff contenders. Playoff contenders. Again, it's funny. I don't preview this before. I just want to go off vibes and what I'm feeling, or what I'm seeing, everything, and not just go off standings. Because I look at the standings as reference, but I don't want to like just like, oh, yep, this is the standings, so this is where they're at, right? Like, just because the Winnipeg Jets are number one in the league doesn't automatically make them a Stanley Cup contender, right? Just as an example. So, or even Minnesota and all those types of things. Because mind you have to fight people in your division, right? So, that's something to consider. That's why Edmonton and LA really can't be cup contenders, because they're going to be versing each other. They both can't be cup contenders. Like, someone's got to fight that out and everything. So, but for Edmonton, they're going to playoff contenders right now. So, for Florida, we're going cup contenders. So, we're gonna go Minnesota. Okay, Minnesota. They're doing so good, and by they, I mean Kaprizov. Kaprizov is doing so phenomenally good. Gustafsson looks like a really good goalie this year too. It's funny. He's like hot and cold, dude. It's so funny. I'm looking at points right now. And a similar amount of games, 19 and 20 games for Boldy and Kaprizov. Boldy has 22 points in 20 games. That's great. Over a point per game for a player like that, making like $7.5 million. I think 7.7 or maybe $7 million for 7 years. Like, that's a great value. Then you have Kaprizov, 34 points. He's 14 more points than the next guy in the team. That is crazy to me. And I'm flabbergasted. He's playing so well, shooting 22%. This guy's doing phenomenal. Kaprizov, he's leading them in points, goals, assists. Like, he's just killing it. By the way, shout out to Jake Middleton, 16 plus minus average. Plus minus. I love that. Dude, Jake Middleton is so underrated. Mr. Irrelevant in the 2014 draft. I'm gonna scream his name from the rooftop as long as I can. I don't know if they're not a Stanley Cup contender, but it's similar to when you have like a guy that's just so good. Like right now, Nathan MacKinnon is pulling the Edmonton Oilers along, and with Draisaitl as well. You have like one or two guys that are really like the leaders. That's what Kaprizov's doing right now. He's kind of dragging them. So they're playoff contenders right now. I feel okay in that. So that's okay. The Habs. So the Habs, and I'm hesitant right now because the Habs are doing worse than they should be, and that's kind of where I'm a little confused. There's such a young team, and they're for sure rebuilding. There's no question about that the team is rebuilding. But my question is, I'm like, okay, like, what the fuck is happening? Like, so I'm actually more on the what the fuck, because you have a coach that is playing, that is not a coach. He's never been a head coach of a like AHL, ECHL. I think he played they had some high schoolers or some young kids. but he's never been like an NHL coach. And it's we're starting to see that some of the systems are starting to slip, and that can be really bad for some of the young kids. You have to establish these kids as like, hey, like this is the process and everything. And so with the Habs, I'm kind of in like, are you gonna fire your coach soon? Like, because you need some of these guys to work out. Again, there's like what the fuck wildcard contender, and there's what the fuck rebuilders. So this is like a wildcard rebuilder. They are still rebuilding. I think they end up selling like on Mike Matheson, Dvorak. I don't even know if they keep Brendan Gallagher either. So we'll see. I think his contract may have a no movement clause though, so I have to check that out. But yeah, those are some guys that I'm thinking of. You may want to move and everything. Get you some picks back, because they're not part of the long term plan. So, Preds. What the fuck, dude? Worse. Like, I think they're worst team right now in the league. Montreal has 16 points. Yeah. Oh, dude, they have 17 points, which is tied with the San Jose Sharks and only 1 point better than the Chicago Blackhawks or the Montreal Canadiens. What is happening? You made all these signings. They're currently negative 15 goal differential. Like, what are you doing? You have a losing record at home and away. You're 3-5-2 in the last 10. Like I understand like slow start. Totally understand slow start. What's happening? Although, you know what's crazy though? A team like this, one of the worst, and they were actually, by the way, they before their last game, they were worst in the league, and they beat the Winnipeg Jets, who are the best in the league right now. Like, so what is happening? Like, and by the way, that's also why I hate and love hockey, is because a shit team can be a great team, and it makes it so random, and it makes it less predictable, right? When you have like a hot team in an NBA or in football, it's like, oh, dude, they're definitely gonna win. Like, I watched the Lions today with my wife. Like, yeah, the Lions are gonna win. Like, duh, it doesn't make sense. But like, I don't understand what's happening. I think honestly, I don't know if they fire their coach because they looked good last year, and then they added, and they're looking worse, which is crazy to me. So what the fuck is happening? I don't even know if they'll make the playoffs this year. If they don't, like, I mean, Gary Trotz already talked about how he's like, I'm ready to put the rebuild plan in. I'll do it. Like, no issues there. I have no problem when those guys going through a rebuild, which is to me is just crazy. I'm just like, dude, it's Nashville. Like they won the offseason. Like they had by the way, they have three first round picks right now, right? So you sign Marcia Show, you sign Stamkos, you're getting Brady Shea, you re-sign UC Saros. His deal doesn't start till next year. His 8-year deal doesn't start till next year. And then you have, and you trade off Askarov, you get a first round pick there, you get a first round, a former first round pick prospect. Like you get the first round pick from Tampa Bay when you did the Tanner Jeannot trade. And they have their own. So like they like, but also like I think Barry Trotz is like, hey, I added all these good guys. Like, what makes you think I should trade a first round pick to bring in someone else when you guys can't do it now? So I totally get it. It'd be crazy if they went into a rebuild. But again, if you one of those where like they're just like, hey, quick rebuild, sell, and then come back really strong next year. So we'll see. New Jersey Devils. Again, expectedly playing well. Again, they kind of have a little bit of a head start because they played out in Prague, so they have 23 games played already. So they're leading the league in games played. But for them, I don't want to say they look really good, but I don't know if they're full blown cup favorites. I think they're playoff contenders, and the reason is from what I saw before, I think their goals or their goals, their goalies, like Markstrom's looked good. Let me just confirm his work. Like Markstrom's looked good. He's 0.097, a little above average. Jake Allen's playing well though. Again, against harder competition or less hard competition, a 0.921. So that's one thing I'm like, okay, that looks good. Jesper Bradt's looking phenomenal though. Dude, they are looking really good, dude. I mean, I'm going based on gut. Jesper Bratt, dude, 28 points in 23 games, put up phenomenal points there. Yeah, I'm going off vibes. I think, I mean, because they're having some issues with like Simon Nemec, they just sent out recently. So like you have some young guys that this kind of could flame out a little bit. These Sheldon Keefe's doing a really good job. I don't know if they're not. If I'm questioning it, you're not a Stanley Cup contender, like in my opinion, to me. So and even though they lead the Metro right now, I just don't feel it. I don't feel it right now. And I'm okay with that. Like, I have no problem. I'm not going to put someone up there that I believe that should be up there that shouldn't, right? Because you got to be a lock. To be a cup favorite, you have to be a super lock. So I'm gonna go. That's fine. So Islanders, I'm kind of they're kind of what the fuck wild card contenders to me, because the Islanders they're currently out of a playoff spot right now. 21. Actually, you know what? No, they're what the fuck. What? And by the way, they've been what the fuck all the time for me, because I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what's the plan? Like, I'm like, you're not super young. You're pretty old. Like, you have these really good goalies, but I'm like, what? Like, you trade for Bo Horvat, you give him that big contract. I think he's done fine. Let's pull up their stats, because I think I just don't understand. They're 8-5, super 500, 5 overtime losses, by the way. Dude, they're just gonna mid their way into the playoffs. 18 points in 21 games for Kyle Palmieri. Who would have called that, by the way? Bo Horvat, 14 points, 21 games. Like, you're just not, the production's not there. Matt Barzal's been hurt, so 5 points in 10 games. Like, just, I know they're not huge scorers, but like, you're a -6, you're 4-3-3 in your last 10. Again, they're gonna mid their way off, dude. Their overtime losses are just stupid. They're gonna get like 16 overtime losses by the end of the season. Actually, by the way, if you prorate that, I think that is. If you prorate 5 overtime losses in how many games they played, so I'll pull my calendar. So the way you figure out how many overtime losses you assume they can get, right? So they have 5 overtime losses over 21 games divided by 21 times 82. At this rate, they'll have 19 and a half overtime losses. So call it 19 overtime losses. That's 19 points that you lose. The game you lose, and you get 19 points. It's so frustrating, dude. They're just so frustrating. They're the most frustrating brand of hockey, dude. It's infuriating. New York Rangers. Vibes. You have Shesterkin. Like, right now they're currently in a wild card spot. They have 25 points in 19 games. They're right behind the Washington Capitals. I'm vibes. I'm saying they're what's the last 10? Let me see the last 10. 6-4-0. I mean, the thing is you can have a great goaltender, and they're a plus 15 goal differential because they have a phenomenal goalie. That's why. By the way, the New York Rangers, just to give you an idea of how interesting this is. New York Rangers have let as many goals in as the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ooh. Like, you're telling me that Toronto Maple Leafs, who have Stolars and Wool, are doing just as well as the New York Rangers, who have Shesterkin, who wants $11.5 million for 8 years? People are saying it. I'm not saying it yet, but people are saying fraud watch. I'm going to go vibes. Playoff contender. You're not there. You're not cup. You're not a lock yet. And so I'm going vibes. I'm going off of my instinct, my gut, and everything. So we're going with that one. So, Ottawa Senators. What the fuck? Like, you guys trade for Allmark. You guys get a better goalie, and you're still terrible. Like, to me, again, I'm not saying as a Red Wings fan. You guys, the Red Wings are only one point better than the Ottawa Senators. But what's happening, dude? What the fuck is happening? Like, you guys are supposed to get better. You guys traded for a phenomenal goalie. You guys brought in some UFAs. Like Dave Braun supposed to work out really well. Like, let's see. What are their stats? Let's see who's doing well. I assume Timmy Stützle is doing well. I assume Brady Tkachuk, the usuals. Yep. Stützle, 24 points, 20 games. Brady Tkachuk, 21 points, 20 games. Drake Batherson's looking good, 20 points, 20 games. Claude Giroux, 15 points, 20 games. But honestly, at this rate, you might like Claude Giroux may be requesting a trade because he wants to win a cup. Like, I think he thought they were going to be a little bit better than this. So I just don't know what the fuck's happening. Like, you're supposed to be better. I think they're at the point where Brady may request a trade. Like there's real talk to him potentially wanting to go to New Jersey. That's where his wife's from. Which New Jersey would love. I mean, if New Jersey traded for Brady Tkachuk, they would be a cup favorite at that point. Like, honestly, that for me, that'd be a cup favorite. So, yeah, that's crazy. So, Philadelphia Flyers, rebuild. It's just rebuild immediately. What they did last year was a fluke. It was so exciting down to the last minute. It was not exciting for Red Wings fans. It was infuriating, to be honest, because Washington won a regulation when Philadelphia Flyers pulled their goalie. It was so annoying. I'm frustrated with them. They're doing better than the Red Wings right now. They have 20 points in 21 games. So, but if Red Wings win their next game, they'll be tied. But again, you're a rebuilding team. You just got Matvei Michkov, who's looking dynamic, by the way. He's leading rookies right now in goals. He's leading them in points as well. And by the way, they're currently 9-10-2. Matvei Michkov, second on the team, 16 points, 19 games. Travis Konecny, what a great re-sign there. 25 points in 21 games. Again, solid. That's super solid. Big fan of that. So, going on to the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, is it what the fuck or is it rebuilding? It is actually, it's a what the fuck, because what was the plan? Like you guys traded for Erik Karlsson. You don't have, like, all your guys are getting old, but now you just sold. Supposedly they're looking to sell pieces. Everyone's available but Sid, like crazy. That is crazy, by the way. They just sold Lars Eller to the Washington Capitals for a 3rd and 5th round pick. And to me, I'm like, oh, you're rebuilding. Okay, so what are you going to sell? Like, who? Evgeny Malkin? Like, he has a no move clause. Where he wants to stay a pen, right? Like, who's going to take on Brian Rust for like 4 more years? Who's going to take on Erik Karlsson's 4 more years? Like, or 3 years after this? Like, who are you going to sell these guys to? Like, Bunting was a good ad like last year, but he's a 3rd line guy basically. Like, to me, like second, 3rd line guy, middle 6. Yeah, I don't know what the plan is. Like, again, directionless is where I have a hard time. And all these teams right here are kind of directionless. The only positive directionless one is Calgary. Because I'm like, at least you're doing well, right? At least you're doing excellent. I would say Boston's in a playoff spot, right? Like, at least you're doing super well. Like, I don't know, man. And let me know your thoughts on the Pens, because I'm frustrated with them. San Jose Sharks rebuilding. By the way, I like what they're doing with the rebuild. They sign Tyler Toffoli, great pickup. You get Wenberg, you bring in a couple like good quality veterans. You get Macklin Celebrini, you bring him in as a first year, who's looking good. Missed some games with some injury after his first game. Will Smith's looking good. William Eklund's looking good. Like, just some, Mikhail Granlund's like over a point per game. Actually, I'm gonna pull up their stats right now, because so one of the discussions with the San Jose Sharks currently is like, okay, you have good players. Do you keep them because they're doing well? They're a fun team right now. That's the thing, is they're a fun team. Mikhail Granlund, 24 points in 23 games, playing top line center, phenomenal. So like, what do you do with him? Will Smith's a little slow, 4 points in 18 games, but it's exciting to see him there. Macklin Celebrini, 7 points in 11 games. Jake Walman's looking good as a D, 13 points in 18 games. Zetterlund's looking good, 15 and 23. Like, these are fun guys. And Mikhail Granlund's looking good, but if you trade him, does it demoralize the team? Because they're working hard around him, right? Like, so we'll see. And you don't even have Logan Couture either yet back, right? So who could bounce right back in whenever, right? And then he could start popping off as well. So rebuild and everything. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams left. This is a good time to take a break. We're gonna jump, real quick ad break. And then we'll jump back into this, and and then we'll head out. The 24-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple, like picking a team to win. And of course, if you're listening to this, you're probably a Red Wings fan. You can definitely bet the puck line, the total, the money line, how many goals are going to be scored, over or under. Example is most of them are coming up is at like 6. So you can be like over 6 goals or under 6 goals. You can get all the action at Sportsbook. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers. Get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in New York. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit cpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive award. Bonus bet expires 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice. You know what that sound is. That's the sound of ice skates skating on the ice at your favorite team's hockey game. You know, there's nothing like the excitement of being at a game, the crowd, the energy, the roar, the chants, the songs. It's just so much to it. And the best way you're going to be able to find an amazing seat and an amazing game is going to be at Game Time. Game Time also has this new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff and shows you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. And my wife and I were actually end up going to a Detroit Red Wings game on December 2nd, I believe it is. That's the one that we're looking at, and talk about a super deal. And you can actually find any concert tickets there. You can do comedy. There's so many different options there. They also have curated deals to make it easier to find the best deals on great seats. And also, you can see the view of your seat before you buy. You have a lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection as well. One thing I really enjoy about it is the all-in pricing. Toggle this feature to show the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. So you can also get a panoramic, again, talking about your view, it's a panoramic view. You can see the sea, not just like we're looking at the stage. You get the full panoramic view. And they also have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And so take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Jumping back in, we have the Seattle Kraken. Seattle Kraken are currently out of a playoff spot, 21 points in 21 games. Again, to me, they're kind of a playoff contender. They made some big signings this past season. They picked up Chandler Stevenson. They picked up Brandon Montour as well. They're trying, right? They're starting to add some big UFAs. And I think this is that first year where they're really starting to do it. They're going to fight for a wild card spot, but to me, I think they'll end up missing the playoffs. They're kind of a team that doesn't have any superstars. They have good players, right? Matty Beniers, Shane Wright's hopefully going to work out as well, just being a 4th overall pick. But to me, they're just a wild card contender. They're kind of, again, that mushy middle right now. So pretty easy right there. Blues, wild card. I would say what the fuck, but I'm going to say wild card contender. And the reason is because they made a move. They picked a direction, right? So the St. Louis Blues currently are 19 points in 22 games. So they're not doing well, right? So in this whole standings, they're not doing well, but you have a direction now. You fire the coach who only played 22 games, who only coached 22 games, Drew Bannister. And you bring in David Montgomery because you're looking for a shakeup. You're looking for you're like, hey, this isn't working. We have an opportunity to get a great coach, Drew Montgomery. Jim Montgomery, his wife is from the St. Louis area. So like you're like, hey, well, this is the direction. Okay, here we go. We have a direction now, right? So which I like. I think that can end up being a fighting for a playoff spot at the end. So that is what I believe. I think that's the kind of the vibes I'm feeling. Again, there's no rules and rhyme to this. I mean, I'm making this up as I go, right? Because I'm picking the categories. But like, to me, what the fuck is direction? Like, before they fired their coach and picked up Jim Montgomery, I'd be kind of like, okay, like what's happening? Again, they did lose Broberg and everything, and Bennington's not been on his shit. But to me, like, you have a direction now. You have a goal. And so you maybe not hit your goal, but you have a direction and a goal that you're working towards. So, Tampa Bay Lightning, playoff contender. I mean, they're currently out of the playoff spot, 22 points in 19 games. I guess by point percentage, they're better than the Boston Bruins. But I think to me, it's still going to be, it's to me, I think the Buffalo Sabres, the Buffalo Sabres may knock them off. To me, I don't trust the Buffalo Sabres yet. They're 7-3-0 though. So I mean, that's something to tell you, but I don't trust them, Buffalo Sabres yet. So to me, I still think Tampa Bay's better. I think they're going to bounce back. I think you have Vasilevsky, of course, who is, I mean, a monster. How do you bet against Vasilevsky? I mean, right? I mean, Again, Tampa Bay's 10-7-2. Let's look at Vassy real quick. Let's look at his points percentage or save percentage. 0.915. It's good. And a 2.13 goals against average. That's phenomenal. Goals against average. So, and of course, you have Kucherov putting up 29 points in 19 games. That's some Kaprizov numbers right now, man. Brandon Hagel, 21. Brandon Hagel and Anthony Cirelli, both 21 points in 19 games. Again, they're playing under right now. Even Braden Point, 16 points in 15 games. Took a couple games off. But Jake Gensel's look at that contract looks like it's working out well, especially with the way Steven Stamkos is playing in Nashville. Jake Gensel, 18 points in 19 games. So I still see them as a playoff contender. I see them bumping off the. I just don't trust the Buffalo Sabres to be able to make the playoffs yet. I mean, I think they have an opportunity to. I just don't trust them yet. And we'll see. Prove me wrong, right? Prove me wrong. So, Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm kind of in the playoff contender cup favorites right now. Vibe wise, like I don't think they'll knock off, because looking at again, they're playing well, but they're so injured right now. I'm gonna go playoff contender. And the reason is that there's so many injuries and then Austin Matthews has not played. He might be able to play this upcoming Wednesday in the game, but there's so many questions about that I'm like, it's similar to the Avalanche, where it's like you have so many injuries. Can you get back to where you need to be a cup contender? And they'll make the playoffs for sure. They're playing very well without him. By the way, Mitch Marner is stepping up like crazy. I love to see that. William Nylander get to play with his brother. That's phenomenal. I think at this rate, if Marner keeps playing the way he plays and performs in the playoffs, I think he's good for like 13 million. Like 13 million is like not out of the question at all. Especially with Austin making 13.4 or 13.25, somewhere wherever that is. So per year. But that's how I feel. It's vibes right now. They're in the playoff contender. They're right on the cup favorite. But again, there's too many question marks seeing them right now. By the way, I just want to mention, I just saw in the Florida is only a +2 goal differential. They've let in 72 goals in the last or in their 21 games. The only one who's let in more goals is the Montreal, who's at the bottom of the league. So I'm and Boston's right there as well with them. So I'm skeptical of what Florida's happening with goaltending. Maybe this is Bob's off year, but they're still doing really well, and they're second in the Atlantic. So I might regret that when we get to the half point of the season. So Utah Hockey Club, I can see them. I mean, let's go to the standings, because I have my initial gut feeling. My gut feeling was kind of that playoff contender. Again, I think they're tied with the Anaheim Ducks and the St. Louis Blues. The thing is, they had a ton of injuries, so I can see them fighting for a playoff spot. And that I think they end up missing it, but I think they're fighting for it. They made a ton of good moves in the offseason, pick up Sergachev. When you lose like Dursey and you lose not Milano, he was playing in New Jersey. Again, John Marino. That's what John Marino. You lose two guys like that, two defensemen like that. That's tough. That's a tough loss. They end up trading for Ole Mata, sending out a 3rd-round pick for him, who I don't think he's a savior in that case, but I think they're going to fight. They're looking okay. Let's see what they're looking at. I'm curious who's stepping up. I assume it's Keller in their stats. They're 8-9-3, 5th in the Central. Keller, of course, 19 points in 20 games. Dylan Gunther, 17-20. Awesome. Love to see that from a young guy who's only playing 16 minutes. That's second line minutes right there. Nick Schmaltz, Logan Cooley, 15 and 14 points in 20 games, respectively. Mikhail Sergachev is a D, and Michael Kesselring, 13 points and 10 points, respectively, for Sergachev and Kesselring. Love to see that, dude. Sergachev put up some time, 25.5 minutes a game. Love to see that from him. So, but yeah, again, I think that I'm super happy with that. It's kind of my vibes feel right now. So, going on to the Vancouver Canucks. I actually trust the Vancouver Canucks a little bit more. I'm going off vibes currently right now. They're outside of a wild card spot. Dude, I don't know why I feel like they're a Stanley Cup contender. They're not playing like it. I might have to go against my gut on this one. I feel like they're a Stanley Cup contender. You have, I mean, I would say the reason that they're not is you don't have your goaltending is a little bit questionable. Kevin Lankinen has come in and played really well, well enough for a guy who was just a UFA they just signed. .901 save percentage, 2.74 goals against average. Played 14 games, 9 wins, 3 losses, 2 overtime losses. I mean, he's doing fine. He's holding down the fort. He's average. I want to say they're. I also don't trust the Vancouver Canucks. They're playoff contenders. I don't trust them. They think they're playoff contenders. They're not wild card. I think that LA flames out or Calgary flames out. I think it's more that Calgary flames out. I had the Kings almost missing the playoffs, but they're playing really well right now. So, I mean, if Vancouver wins one more game, they'll be tied with the LA Kings with a game in hand. So that kind of tells you that I'm point percentage. I think they're doing a little bit better. They are doing better than the LA Kings. So I will say, I think playoff contender. That feels right. I can't be mad about that because that feels right there. So, yep, I'm locking it in. It's playoff contender. So Vegas Golden Knights. What? You guys lost you guys lost to the Dallas Stars last year, like pretty bad. And now you're 28 points, 21 games. I mean, you're looking phenomenal. Like, what is up with this Western Conference? I thought Atlantic was gonna be the toughest one. And maybe it is because they just keep beating up on each other. But there's some powerhouses coming out. Vegas Golden Knights are looking like Stanley Cup contenders right now. They're 6-3-1 in the last 10, 17, plus 17 goal differential. I mean, let's look at the stats here. I think Eichel's leading them right now. I'm pretty sure. Eichel 32 points in 21 games. I mean, awesome. Barbashev 22 points in 21 games. Like, I mean, Pavel Dorofeyev, like who are you? Who is this kid? Where did he come from? Like he's leading them in goals. Is his third season in the league. I don't even know where he came from. I'm curious. I gotta find this guy. He's tied 22nd in goals right now in the NHL. Where did he come from? So, do I? Are they? I mean, I have a Metro team. I have an Atlantic team. I'm gonna go. They're looking like a cup favorite, man. If they can stay healthy, which is, of course, the Vegas Golden Knights' only issue is they can stay healthy. Mark Stone, oh my God, on a heater. Mark Stone, 21 points in 13 games. He's always freaking injured, though. Dude, if he was playing right now, let's say they've played 21 games. Jack Eichel has played 21 games. So 21 points divided by 13 times 21. You're looking at 34 points. Mark Stone would be leading them right now in points right now. That's just how good Mark Stone is when he's playing. But again, the best ability is availability. I don't care if you're a 2 points a game person. If you're not available to play, you can't make it happen. So that is my only question mark with them. And again, that's kind of my only question mark. Actually, I'm looking at my cup contenders. Like I'm looking at this. There are some question marks. Again, the start of the season, so we can see some guys pull out. It's goaltending for the Carolina Hurricanes. It's goaltending for Florida Panthers right now. It is Mark Stone and him staying healthy, like as a phenomenal player. Like that is some question marks. Again, we're seeing this at the start of the season, and that's okay. That's why we're doing this first quarter. So, moving on to the Washington Capitals. Okay, what the fuck is happening? Just like the Calgary Flames. Ironically, they did a trade earlier this year, where Mangiapane went to the Capitals for a second round pick, and ironically, Mantha played in the Capitals and signed with Calgary Flames. So funny how that happens, huh? Right? Similar players in my view. Washington Capitals are doing phenomenal. I don't know if they're playoff. I mean, they're in the playoff spot, 27 points in 20 games. Ovechkin just got hurt though with his broken leg. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks. He'll come back as soon as possible. Try and break that Gretzky streak this year. I don't know if he'll be able to do it now at this point, but some guys are really stepping up. Some of the young guys, Connor McMichael, Alexi Protest is looking really good. Tom Wilson talks of him being on the 4 Nation Face-Off tournament. Just got every game he plays. John Carlson, 14 points, 20 games. I mean, and Dylan Strome, 28 points, 20 games. Who would have called that? The guy that Chicago Blackhawks let go. Then he went inside with the Arizona Coyotes, and now he's back and with the Washington Capitals, playing phenomenal. Again, playing with Ovi helps. I gotta go with them. Yeah, they're in the what the fuck. But to me, they're a playoff contender. Absolutely. I mean, which is at the end, they ended up making it last year, ended up losing in 4 in the first round pretty handedly. Again, I thought if the Red Wings had beaten them, had won, I think they would have Red Wings at least won one game, in my opinion. But that's not how it works. So that's where we're at. So Washington Capitals. What the fuck? Good for you guys. That's a good what the fuck. But again, remember Calgary and those rest of these teams. What the fuck is happening, right? So and then Winnipeg Jets. I mean, Stanley Cup contenders, Cup favorites at this point right now. Looking phenomenal. By the way, I'm also like I know I listed these off. Ironically, I didn't expect these to be a top 4, right? Like they ended up being one of each division. Just on my also gut feeling as well. I mean, it was like I don't know. I feel like this team's right. Like could have been Toronto, but like I still had some question marks. But again, not by the way, all these guys aren't necessarily leading your division as well, right? Like we just talked about, like Vegas and Winnipeg are leading their divisions, but like Toronto's leading the Atlantic and New Jersey's leading the Metropolitan. I still have Florida and Carolina over them, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with these. But I feel like Winnipeg Jets are just doing so phenomenal. They're doing 34 points, 21 games, one of their best starts ever. 34 goal plus 34 goal differentials. They're 7-3-0 in the last 10. And they only have 4 losses on the season, which is crazy. Again, Connor Hellebuyck is just so freaking hot. He's just killing it. What a great deal they signed him to. The matching deal with Mark Scheifele as well. So you have 16 points, 14 wins, 0.924 goals against average, and or save percentage, and a 2.13 goals against average. Even Eric Comrie, 5 games win, 3 wins, 2 losses, 2.83 goals against average. Don't love that part, but still a 910 save percentage. I mean, he's playing well as a backup. Again, you know that Connor Hellebuyck is going to be the guy in the playoffs, though. So, and you still have Kyle Connor with 26 points, 21 games, and Mark Scheifele, 25, 21 games. Ehlers, 23 and 21. Like even Josh Morrissey, defenseman, 20 points, 21 games, almost a point per game as a defenseman. Love to see that. So, again, they're just playing well, solid hockey, good production throughout the lineup, and I'm honestly impressed. So, anyways, hit like, subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are and everything. And yeah, we got a full blown tier list. I'd love to see. I'd love to see. Let me know your comments and what you agree with, what you disagree with, and hit me up. Hey, put your favorite emoji down there. Hit like, subscribe. Helps us small creators like me. And love you. Catch you in the next one. Bye.